Hello, welcome back to the channel. This is John from Flippin Ain't Easy, and just kind of scrambling around today, so I apologize. I almost was late, but I made it in time. So, for those of you who are, and we do this every time we do a live stream, but got to set the ground rules real quick. Again, for those of you guys who are with us today, put your comments and your questions in the chat. That's what drives this program. Of course, if you're watching after the fact and couldn't make it, that's cool too. Just put your comments and your questions in the comments down below, and I'll be glad to get back to you guys as soon as I can. And sometimes it may take a day or two because a lot of videos I put out, a lot of live streams I put out, and over time I get a lot more comments that it's just really kind of hard to keep track of. And people send me emails and stuff too. And that does take some time away. And of course, you guys know I'm running my eBay business, my Mercari and eBay business. So it just takes a lot of time. But glad to spend it with you guys like we're doing here today. No matter how you are watching this program, though, please hit the like button. That's all I really ask. It really helps the algorithm discover the channel, add more viewers. We actually, over the last month in August, had a jump from, we were averaging about maybe 400 or 500 subscribers a month to now, I think we're almost at 1,000. So that's awesome. And it's because you guys do little things like hit the like button and just participate, because I'd just be here for 10 to 15 minutes talking to myself if I, did a live with only a few people. So thank you for showing up, and we're going to have more people rolling in, I'm pretty sure. But I want to say we got Kevin Hawthorne in the house. We have Biff Boffo. We have Ed, the reselling writer. We have Jennifer V finally being able to listen to the live for a change, which is awesome. No One Design 2 is in the house. We have Biscuit Butt. I said No One Design 2, but I didn't put them on the screen. So Biscuit Butt, Donnie Bravo. So my buddy Donnie from Victorville, he has a lot of merchandise. Hopefully he starts listening soon. We have Dolly Magarato, hello from Wisconsin. We have James Helms in the house. Alex J. Movie Guy, part-time reseller from Los Angeles. Prosser's in the house. And Carl Becker, Chris Wiley, GT also made the live. Awesome. And it's cool because when you make the live stream, it's a lot different to submit your questions and just participate in maybe helping answer some questions than if you just watch after the fact, and maybe you'll catch something that you can use and maybe not. But at least we can interact. And like I said, I don't have all the answers to your questions, but there's a number of you who are very knowledgeable and can help out when someone has a question as well. So the topic of the day is the new listing tool. Now, of course, it's not a new thing. It's been around for quite some time, for many months now, and it's been optional. And what's weird about it is, for the last week or so, what kind of prompted me to make this the topic, and that is it wasn't allowing me to switch over. You normally go and you hit the, like Biff Boffo says, or was it Biff that said that? Somebody said, hold on real quick. Well, someone had mentioned that you simply go in and click the three dots in the top right-hand corner of the listing tool, and you are given the option to go back to the classic view. And that wasn't an option for me. It didn't give me that option. Now, it's weird, as I went back and edited a listing before the program, just to double check that maybe something changed, and it gave me the ability to do that. And guess what? It gave me the option to switch to the classic view. So they asked me, of course, what is the reason why you want to switch over? And I think because it sucks is probably not a very good answer, because you really want them to understand why it's not working for you. But it just seems like they're trying to make it look a little more streamlined. And the problem that I have, what I have a problem with, and I'll tell you the good stuff here in a second, because it's not all negative. The problem that I have with the new tool is that the item specifics are more time consuming. It's already time consuming enough to deal with item specifics, But, when we're dealing with item specifics, and let's say the value isn't a preloaded value, and you're trying to put an actual value for that particular item specific, it'll try to autocorrect. And like if the word I'm using starts with an M, and I start to type it and it has a word that starts with an M, but not the one I'm trying to type, it'll automatically try to put that value in that box, and it'll just mess me all up. And I read that, some guy that was doing sports cards, and this was a topic on the boards as well, but you had a seller that was selling, able to list about 1,000 in a day. Now that's a lot, and is now only able to list like a tenth of that. And that's concerning. Any tool that eBay implements shouldn't be something that slows us down. It should be something that, of course, speeds us up. The more listings we can create, the more money it can generate for eBay. And I understand them wanting it to be a little bit more aesthetically pleasing, but that's kind of all it is. It's not really, to me, I mean, your policies are all mangled all over the place. In the old lister, you have them right there, stacked on top of each other. You know exactly where to find them. And, you have your return policy here, your shipping policy down here, something over here, and it's kind of all buried. So you have to click something that drops down just to get to them. And for me, it's just, maybe it's because it's new, right? Whenever you deal with something that's new for the first time, it's a little bit more cumbersome, but I think it's a little bit more than that. I want to know what you guys think. I've been doing a lot of listings anyway with the app, and then coming back in and doing some modifications on the PC. As far as the positives, I only see one, and that is the video feature. Now, for many of you guys will say, well, I can't use the video feature. It just doesn't make sense. It'll slow me down. It doesn't make sense. But I want you to think about it in terms of this. Think of like your QVC shopping network, right? You think they would even be as successful as they were? Now, I'm not saying that they're successful now, but many years ago, they were kind of the fad, and the things that people would actually turn on their TV to maybe shop on their phone or on their TV. And if it wasn't for video, to be able to really make the items pop and to see all the features, do the zoom ins, and the video can actually help you with make your item look a lot better than it actually might be, which is kind of a plus. I mean, of course, that you don't want to open yourself up to an Aint ad, but it never is as good as it looks on TV, on the video. So what I like to do is I will take the video on a more expensive item. Now, whether it's an electronics item, that's a good idea to maybe show functionality, that the thing turns on, how it works, how it looks when it's on, to show the screen comes on, that type of thing. But it's a little bit more than that as well. If you have an item that maybe does power on and it maybe makes a noise, because the audio does come through as well, you might want to be able to show your buyer that there might be a potential problem with it, or how it sounds or looks, that type of thing. But I would say, in addition to all that, if you have a valuable item, an item that has value, like a watch, maybe a expensive ring or necklace, and you can really, take that video and get the sparkle and, move it around and really sell your item, because that's the whole point of it, right? It's not to bog you down with an extra task. It's to try to enhance the item to make it look good, to make it pop, right? And I think that if you do it right, you keep it like 30 seconds or less, and I'm saying like a 1020p video on select items, maybe your more expensive items, just to give it a try. It's worth it to me. And I do it every so often. And it's either when it's an electronics item and I really want them to see how it functions, like those old vintage items I picked up at the yard sale, right? I could say it works all day long, but maybe you know what you're looking for, and I turn it on and you go, I see that it's making this noise and I want to avoid it. And to me, it's an excellent way also to maybe even avoid a return. That person will see your video and say, wow, if it wasn't for that, I probably would have bought it. I'm just going to walk away. I'm not going to buy it. And that's fine, because I don't want the wrong buyer to buy my item. So Put your thoughts in the chat or comment down below. Let me know your thoughts on this new lister. Are you used to it by now? Are you toggling back to the old lister? One thing that I just think is going to happen eventually, this is just my thoughts, because there's been a number of occasions, like over the weekend, they've locked me out. I have not been able to go back to the old lister until today, that we're going to be stuck with this thing, and the old lister is going to be gone. It's the way things work. They give you time to transition, right? But after a while, they'll think, okay, they've had enough time to get used to the old or the new lister, and now we're going to just flip the switch, and that's just going to be it. So are you avoiding it? Are you just trying to get yourself used to it? Or you just list on the phone and rarely even mess with the new lister on the website? So let me know what you do, and let's talk about it. So let's see here. Biff Boffo says, my two biggest issues with the new listing tool: my custom SKU field won't save in my templates, and the long reload time of the item specifics section. Yeah, you click on the item specifics and it just hangs. I noticed that. It just hangs. And one time I had to go back and refresh. Now, I don't think they fixed I think it's a bug with the old lister. I think it's still in the new lister, where if let's say I'm working on a listing, right? And something takes me away. I need to walk away. Maybe I need to go cook dinner, and I'll finish this listing when I get back. And after like 20 or 30 minutes, you go to finish the listing and it just doesn't do anything. It times out on you. And you have to basically go back and refresh. Hopefully it's saved as a draft. But if it didn't, you lost that work. Anybody had that happen? Because that's happened to me a lot in both listers. Ed says the SKU field isn't saving for me either. Very annoying. Thankfully, it's still saved on my list perfectly catalog. So yeah, some of those third-party listers can save the day. I think Ink Frog is another one. Doesn't have to be one of those cross-listing programs, but certainly I know what you're saying there. And as far as biscuit butts in the house, and No One Design says, is it wrong that every time I see the name biscuit butt, I think of biscuit gravy? Yeah, I don't know about that. That's some pretty bad gravy if you think of biscuit butt, right? But okay. Let's see. We don't got a lot of questions here, so hopefully I get caught up to you guys too. That helps. Bear with me, guys. A lot of side talk, which is cool. Okay, Prosser Independent Trading Company. What do you think of the auto refund tool for lower amount items? Are you talking about the idea of when you're processing a return and it says process a refund, or an auto refund tool? Because I've never heard of an auto refund tool. And if I did come across it, I just haven't used it. For me, I don't think that I want to be in the business of doing any kind of refund on an item until I get it back. And if it's encouraging a refund when a buyer opens a return and it's a lower price item and you're just approving a return because of its lower price item, then people are going to learn that, and they're going to start, whether there's a problem or not, they're going to start trying to find sellers that, well, this is a $10 item. Maybe I can buy it, and maybe they will be willing to give me a refund. We already have those that like to fish, right? Those buyers that will contact you, and of course they have no intention on returning the item, but they want to see what they can shake you down for. I'm not a big fan. I've always been a fan of, if there's a problem, if there's a legitimate problem, why would you want to keep my item? And so for me, either it's acceptable to you or you want to send it back. They're only in between is when I offer it and I realize when I screw up, and then I'm willing to maybe do something for them. But that requires a conversation back and forth between the buyer and the seller. Ed says, I tried your way, John. I can't switch to the classic anymore. So you go to the listing, and I went to edit the listing, and I went to the top right of the screen. This is on the computer, and the three dots, click on that. It'll drop down an option to switch to classic view or classic lister. And that's what worked for me. But over the weekend, it wasn't giving me that option. So It may be that they're allowing you to do it maybe in certain listings, certain categories. I don't know, but it seems to me that some sellers aren't able to. I've already read that where some sellers weren't able to at all. And it almost feels to me that at some point, maybe the next seller update, that it's going to be locked in. That's kind of how what I'm thinking. I'm hopeful that I'm wrong, because again, I'm more productive in the old lister than the new one. Chris Wiley says it won't let me switch back either. So I'm thinking it's either category specific. It's hard for me to believe it would be seller specific. So maybe like over the weekend, I wasn't able to. So maybe, try it tomorrow and see what happens. Reigning Retro North Carolina says, I think I've been using the new listing tool for so long, it's what is normal to me. And I think that's what they're hoping for. But see, the problem is, like that trading card seller who was listing 1,000 or close to 1,000 a day, and now is down like to only 10% of that, because everything's like not in the same place. They're not able to launch similar listings like they were in such a quick fashion. Of course, they're not going to keep trying the new tool. They're going to go back to the old one until they're forced out of it. And I can just see this potentially really pushing some other sellers away. I mean, you take people out of their comfort zone, and with everything else that goes on with eBay, they're just like, I'm done. So I don't know. Maybe I'm overblowing it a little bit, but the lister certainly needs to be more seller friendly, and maybe they're working on it still. I don't know. Ping G says, I'll dread the day eBay switches me to the unified lister. And I think that's why a lot of people like me just go to the old one, or just try to find alternate ways. I'm very comfortable now on the app, so that's cool. Tommy uses the app as well, and it's never broken and rarely changes. I don't recall there ever being an issue with the phone as far as glitches. The only glitch I have a problem with on the app is, and it happened to me today, I'll go in and sell an item, and it's totally changed. The policies aren't there. And when I go to click on, let's say, shipping, and it wants me to almost set up a new policy on the phone, right? And then explain, who's buying it, who's paying for return shipping, and all that stuff. And then I go to launch the listing, and even if I'm having them pay for shipping, it sets it up by default as free return or free shipping. So I have to go back and correct that. I find that as being a problem, and it creates an additional, just out of the blue policy. And after a while, you have a bunch. If you ever gone to your business policies on the computer, you're going to have a sea of just business policies that are not even, you don't even know what they are. Because I like to go into my policies and at least put what each one is, so that I know what I'm clicking on in the listing tool. But yeah, you can have some listing policies that are just all over the place because of that glitch. But otherwise, I use the app, and it's a lot quicker. I can go around my garage, I can go to the item, I can put it away, find it, put the SKU in on my phone. Don't have to go back to the computer. So it's a lot easier. Noah Design 2 says, it's been a crazy busy eBay weekend here in North Carolina. I just started a new eBay store. My main store has been going strong with 2 categories, but now I'm in a place to try one more new category to me. So you're going to go ahead and niche that store. So it's going to take a little while to get that up to where you want it. So be patient with it. Chris Wiley, I do think it makes sense. We can show that the item actually works where it's usually not brand new on the video feature. And I really think that is a really cool feature. It almost makes me, they told me this, look, it's either go back to the old lister and have no video, or learn the new one and have the option to video. I would probably take the latter, because I really think that's how valuable it is to have that video many times. And I'm pretty sure that's why I had such a successful auction on that Kodak projector that I showed you guys, or that slide projector. Wasn't selling at all, fixed price, but then I went and did an auction. I added the video. I think that might have been the difference. And it sold at $102. And I was only asking for like $60, $70 as a fixed price listing. Denchina Donna says, I video everything battery and electric to prove the item works. I mean, it's perfect, because if they get the item and they say, well, it doesn't work, well, then how did it work for me? Right now, we know that an item can get broken in transit, but to me, it helps the buyer at least know in their mind that maybe something like that did happen, and you weren't trying to sell them a broken item, because there's a lot of buyers out there who may feel like you're trying to get one over because maybe it's happened to them in the past. But by having that, by proving to the buyer up front before they choose to buy it, they might be willing to take a chance. And like a for parts or repair item, that's another example. Like when you're doing video, maybe only a particular feature of an item isn't working properly, but everything else does. You can really outline that. And maybe, let's say, an espresso machine, and the milk frother doesn't work, but it makes great espresso, right? So maybe that's okay with them. Maybe they don't want that other feature and they're willing to take a huge discount, but would not have bought it under the parts or repair label, that type of thing. So it's just something that you might want to try if you have more expensive items or electronics and you're trying to maybe, because you can have all the traffic you want, they click into your listing, and then if you're not getting that conversion rate, well, there's something not getting them to buy your item. So you want to find as many ways or many things that you can to place in that listing to get the buyer to, follow through with the purchase. And I think that's just one additional thing that you can add to your listing to enhance it. Prosser says, it don't let me switch either, and I can't find the feature for doing multi-listing. So you're trying to do the multi-listing in the new lister. Well, if you're dealing with the same item, it's just a matter of multi-quantity. But if you're talking about, and I was going to maybe talk about this too, but if you're talking about the listing tool or the listing option that gives you the name escapes me at this point, but if you're trying to list multiple items, like I'm going to be listing a bunch of albums. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take maybe country albums and list all my country albums under one listing, and that type of thing. It's there. You just have to find it. That's the problem with this new listing tool. It's just not easy to find the things you were able to find before. Raining Retro, North Carolina. I took a few quick videos today. Most I don't use it, but this allowed me to take a video of a vintage alarm going off, music box song, have a flip alarm clock going to film tonight. Yeah, it's just perfect, because what you think is working fine, you do a basic test on an item, to someone who knows better, like I've had that particular model before, it doesn't seem right when they actually get it, they plug it in, and it doesn't sound right, doesn't function the same way that they're used to. And I think if anything, it'll help your sales conversion ratio a little bit, but it'll also prevent someone from buying an item and then returning it because, there's a misunderstanding on the condition. Savage Pickers is in the house. So thanks for hanging out with us today. Noel Bulsh says, I'm glad I caught you live today. I have a question. Let me get it together. Well, you're not the only one. It's me too. Kind of scrambling around today. I'm kind of not in my zone that I'm normally in before I get on my live, because I've just been doing all kinds of stuff. The Mondays for me are always a challenge because, like this weekend was a good sales weekend. I had close to $1,000 sales weekend if you're counting Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Just missed it by about $50 in sales. Now, if you count Mercari and my other account, then of course I've gone over that amount, but just my main account. So we're dealing with a large bag of packages, and then I have my racks outside are full with my UPS packages that I have to go and drop off. And I've just been flustered, just been all over the place today. So I apologize if I don't seem like I'm in my normal focus zone that I'm in. I'm trying to get my Mio to kick that in, but until then, I'm going to be all over the place. But thank you for hanging out with us nonetheless. Let's see. Also, a video of a high-end vintage lighter with light scratches, rotated it slowly so collectors can see the condition really well. It's one thing, they say that a picture is worth 1,000 words, right? So what's a video worth? Maybe 10,000 words. I mean, I could take a photo of something, and Don, the guy that was in here, Mr. Donnie, where did he go? Donnie Bravo, and I don't know if he's still watching or not. He probably just tuned in to say hello. We used to sell diamonds together, so we would sell these eye clarity diamonds, and the problem is with eye clarity diamonds, they're full of imperfections like carbon spots and different things within the diamond that you really have to get a good view on. Well, he had a Lexmark scanner, which is a printer scanner combination. I had an HP, and his Lexmark showed a pretty good picture. You put the diamond on the flatbed and on the scanner and scan the diamond that way instead of taking a photo of it. And it got a pretty decent impression on the inside of the diamond, but my HP was really clear and it would really show the imperfections. And I was getting a lot of complaints from people. I don't know why. I mean, to me, you'd think that I'd get less complaints because they could see the imperfection in the diamond. But that was pretty fun. I remember getting my returns, and the way we do it is if I got a upset customer, I would just send them to Donnie, and Don would go in and he'd say, look, send it back, send me a check for $500 and we'll get you into a higher clarity diamond. And it would work almost every time. That guy could sell ice to an Eskimo. Let's see. Just kind of skipping around here too. I apologize for that. We have Art Betzold in the house. So thanks for hanging out with us today. Ed's going to the Reseller Remix. So anybody here going to that Boss Reseller Remix in Vegas? I was talking to Archie Biscuit Butt about this, and I think it's like what, $400, $300, $400. And it's not really about them. I mean, I could figure out better things to do with $300 to $400 than to kind of sit through a bunch of seminars, in my opinion. Just for me, I know you can write it off and this, that, and the other thing, but I'm in Vegas anyway. I know that I can go downtown and maybe meet up with some people and just hang out and network that way. And if you're going to be out in Vegas, let me know. Maybe we can all get together and like one evening after you do the Boss Seller Remix, that type of thing. And we can just get together and just hang out and just talk. That's what we did. We met up with Rally Roots was there. Rockstar Flipper was there. And I'm sure there's quite a few more that were there. We just didn't see them. But we hung out for a while and chatted with Rockstar Flipper, Casey. And it was pretty cool. And a couple people did recognize me, which I wasn't expecting. At that time, I only had like 6,000 or 7,000 subs. So who knows what to expect. But I don't think, maybe Archie will, but I don't think I'm going to do that. I just would rather spend that time instead of spending the money. I'd rather spend that money on a pallet, to be honest with you. That's just my take on it. Let's see. I've been kind of jumping around here, but I'm just trying to get as many people involved here. Let's see. Tommy says, that's why I've always used my phone. Okay, we already talked about that. I'm way behind you guys. Let's see. Raining Retro, I took a few quick videos today. And we talked about that too. Boy, I'm way out of here. Okay, Gail's in the house, so thank you for hanging out with us today. Dolly says that she is new to eBay, and these changes are going to take a while for everyone to learn. But if you're new to eBay, it's one of those things where everything is new, right? So it's kind of good that they're introducing this new listing tool for you, because you don't have a reference point. You don't have anything to fall back on really and say, man, I really like this old listing tool. They introduce you to the new lister, and that's kind of all you know. So that's kind of a good thing for new eBay sellers. Ed says, I wish I can go back to the old lister, but I already confirmed with eBay that they have no plans to go back to the old lister and pushing everyone to the new one. They are, and that's what I'm thinking. They probably decided to give the entire summer. Look, we're going to give these sellers time to integrate. We're going to force it over when we can. And there's been many times I'm stuck on the new lister. I've never asked for it, and I have to find the 3 dots to bring myself back. And then, day or two later, I'm there again. And this weekend, it didn't give me the option to switch back. So I think over time, very soon, we're going to be stuck with the new listers. So it may be in your best interest to go in and start using the new lister, as that might frustrate you. It's better to be in Q4 with a tool you're used to than feeling like you're less productive, if that makes sense. Jennifer V hasn't used it, and maybe you just list on your phone. That's one, like Tommy does. That's one way to avoid it. But sometimes we just can't avoid. Like, I go into my my listings that I create in the garage with my phone, and I'm on here adding my template to the listing, right? Trying to maybe fill out the item specifics, maybe that I missed, that type of thing. And it's just something I can't avoid. Maybe it's something you can avoid. Maybe you don't care about the item specifics. Maybe you don't need a formatted item description, that type of thing. But for me, it's imperative, and it just works for me. I mean, you guys know, I don't sell anything great. Might get a few good items here and there, but I'm making sales and I'm not selling the greatest stuff. And it's a combination of everything I do. That's why I make these videos. I do the lives just to kind of interact with you guys. But when I make my videos, it's focused on what I think a lot of you guys can do to enhance your listings. Maybe just one small thing, but it all adds up, right? So I'm going to be coming out with the video here, probably not tomorrow. That's going to be a different subject, but I think I'm going to talk about, I think it's going to be photos next, maybe. I don't know. I have to go look at my checklist, but just keep an eye out for my videos this week. And hopefully I can talk about something that, will help you. Raining Retro, North Carolina. People clearly don't like changes on websites. Every time any of the sites change, everyone complains. Might as well get used to it, as it's here to stay. And it's eBay's game, right? eBay doesn't care if you like it or not. I mean, yeah, they'll put the little thing on there where you click back to the old lister and they want to know why you didn't like it. And I guess if enough people complain about the same thing, maybe they'll streamline it on the next update, that type of thing. But it's been my experience that eBay does what eBay wants to do for eBay's sake. And if it happens to help a seller, great. But if it's just doing it to enhance the seller experience, well, that's not all that important. It's not worth spending the money on that type of a feature. And, it's pretty much everything that eBay's done in the last few years. And that's their MO. And that's the way it is. That's the way it is. We have to adapt as sellers and just understand and don't get our hopes up when they finally do ask us for a survey, or if they do ask us for our input. Just don't get your hopes up that they're going to do much to improve that experience. And if eBay, if you happen to be watching right now, love it if you'd comment and let us know you're there. You probably won't want to do that, but again, I'm not out to attack you. Of course, I want to see eBay succeed, but we can't see eBay succeed from a seller perspective if nobody is critical of the platform. You have a lot of yes sellers that, I see a lot of channels that support everything that eBay does to stay on eBay. I don't know if it's to stay on eBay's good side or not. It may be other factors involved there too. But for me, I think it does a disservice when you don't also mention the stuff that eBay needs to improve upon. And so if you're out there, just know you have a lot of frustrated sellers out there, and we're not all here to complain. We just want to be productive. We want to put our best foot forward, and sometimes you get in our way of doing that. No One Design 2 says, video new lister is not for me. Doesn't fit my category I sell in my business model, but if eBay starts making mandatory, I guess I have to. Now, the video is not mandatory, just one thing you got to know. But to me, it's such a valuable part of, and if you're selling a $10 item, don't waste your time. It doesn't make sense. But if you're selling an item that's, say, at least $50, let's just say at least $50 in value, it may be worth taking, and we're talking 30 seconds, a 30-second video. And, you just basically hold your phone, flip on the video, show the viewer that you're just turning the item on, maybe move around the item for a few seconds to show them how it works, and then just power it off within 30 seconds, save the file, and then add it to your listing. It takes about a day or two for eBay to approve it, to make sure you're not uploading something that has something inappropriate, or maybe you have music playing in the background while you're listing. They don't want that kind of thing. So of course, and if you do like to listen to music while you're listing, it might it might kind of kill your flow. So it might be something to consider, but I think it's well worth it. Carl Becker says, I like the lister and have got used to it. My problem is having to multiple click on buttons to get a response, i.e. preview and orders button. So that's what I'm saying. If every little thing that you have to do in a listing tool, you have to do multiple times, or if you're dealing with item specifics and you have to wait for it to load up the different values, whereas the old lister, we didn't have to do that. Now multiply that over all the listings you do in a day, and how much time have you lost? And for me, it's just not worth it. I mean, I'm going to have to use it, of course, but thankfully we have that backup, which is the app on your phone. Jason Byers official says, is there still a way to switch back to the old template like there was a couple months back? If there isn't, I can find of last night. Are they no longer giving us the choice anymore? So they're still giving the choice to go back to the other lister. Now, thankfully, the template for my item description works the same, whether I'm using the old or the new lister. But if we're dealing with, maybe you just like certain features slow you down in the new lister and you prefer the old one, in a while, and I'm thinking it might be the seller update coming up, but in a while, it's going to be a situation where we're just locked in and we're not going to be able to go back. Let's see. Biff says, I've fallen into that delayed listing trap. Very frustrating. I've learned not to start one I can't finish. Yeah, like sometimes we don't know. Like, we're working, maybe our significant other's making dinner, right? And we're working and we're like, I'm see how many I can get done before, it's time to eat. And you get called away, and, maybe this particular item, I want to get in there and get my item specifics right. So not even thinking about it, I'll just leave and go do what I'm doing. Plus, me, I like to eat. So that's kind of takes a precedence over everything. So I'll put it aside and I'll come back and I'll go, oh, I forgot, it timed out on me. So thankfully, a lot of times the eBay will go in and save it as a draft, and that helps too. Tommy says, I used to use auto refund on everything $10 or less, save so many headaches. Thankfully, I'm out of that business now. Yeah, I mean, every seller has to decide for themselves if they want to go down that and go down that road and play that game. For me, I'd rather just take the return. We're talking returns are only less, they should be less than 5% of your business. Now, if they're more than that, you're going to get hit hard by eBay for having too high returns. Now, I say that when I'm like item not as described. If we're dealing with like free returns or remorse returns, you get them. That's not counted against you, but you really need to be under 5% in returns, because you're doing something wrong. Maybe you're not listing enough information about the item. Maybe you're doing something wrong with the item itself. Maybe not taking great photos, and if you're getting a lot of returns. So for me, it's not that big of a deal, because I don't get that many. I get my returns, and I hate even talking about returns, because chances are now I'm gonna get 3 returns today just because I'm talking about that subject. But we're talking, if we sell 20 items, over the weekend, say, you're only going to get 1 of those back, right? That's how often a return really happens on eBay. So we're not talking a whole lot of money. Even if you did say $10 or less, and you got 10 over the course of a year, it might seem like, nah, not again, I'm giving a free refund. But you're talking $100. And in the scheme of things, if you make $40,000, $50,000, $60,000, $100 isn't going to make or break your business. I can tell you that much. We've got Flippin goodies in the house, and Ed says, did it that way and didn't have the option anymore. Sadly, got to get used to the new lister. No Bullshit says, I offer free shipping on items and best offer. How am I supposed to judge whether or not I want to accept an offer if I do not know where I have to ship the item to? They hide their address. I haven't noticed that, because again, I do a lot of I do believe it comes up on the phone when you're looking at best offers on the phone. It'll give you like a zip code, as to where it's going to. So I have a general idea where it's going to. A lot of these items, a lot of the heavier ones I sell, they're going to be paying for the shipping anyway. So it's fine with me. I can see what you're saying. If you're offering an item, let's say it's like 2 or 3 pounds and free shipping, it could make a difference to accept an offer, a $10 off offer, for instance, on an item. Maybe you're shipping to the next state versus across the country. Martin Greenberg says, hey, great listening to you on my drive home. Been a busy day, great weekend. Hope you're doing well. Love listening to your podcast. Well, Martin, thanks for listening to the live. I can relate to you when I had to commute back and forth. I had listened to a lot of these, either, already the live's already done and it's just after the fact, or on the way back home from work, I'd listen to them as well. Just stay safe and don't get distracted. That's for sure. I'd hate for something to happen to anyone who watches this video or listen to the video in their car because maybe they're distracted. So Jason Byers Official says, I have used the old template for over 20 years. It is uncomfortable to get used to the new one for me. And I think a lot of people feel that way. And it's, what do you do though? Well, what is the alternative? If they come to you tomorrow and say, well, Jason, you're locked in and, good luck with your sales. You're going to leave the platform. We're just not going to like it. We're going to move on. We're going to find a way to be efficient within that tool. Some will go to a third-party lister like InkFrog because that hasn't changed and launch their listings that way. Raining Retro, North Carolina. I've been getting more returns closed in the past, thinking people tight on money are less willing to just keep things they aren't thrilled with. Your thoughts? That's a factor. It's a factor. It's a remorse return, but they don't want to spend money on a return label by saying, just didn't like it. So they'll use a reason, didn't like the maybe not as described. The color wasn't as green as I thought it was, that type of thing. And yeah, but again, I think if we look at the big picture, look at all your sales and look at the number of people who will return an item for no reason or that type of reason where they're just tight on money, but you could tell, you get the item back and there's nothing wrong with it, even though they said there was, to get around paying for a return label, or they just didn't want it anymore, right? Just a remorse return. Look at the number you get over the long haul, and it's not very often anyway. But I think sometimes we remember those returns, right? I can't go back and remember a lot of the sales that I've made, exactly all the details on a particular sale that went smoothly, right? And I can go back and remember many sales that ended up in a disaster, like a return or just a nasty customer. So I just think it's human nature. We tend to think of the experiences that maybe we dread rather than the bigger picture. If it was that bad, if it was 50% just bad customers, I think many of us would have left the platform a long time ago. Donchina Donna says, I've never offered free shipping in offers. And it depends. I mean, if you have a small margin to work with, then it's going to be harder to do those things. If you are into an item for maybe 10% of what you're going to flip it for, then you have more room. That's why, and I don't blame you if you have small margins, and that's just the business model you're working in, because you're limited by that. Okay, so the lower you can get with your cost of goods, then the more you can put more markdown sales, the higher percentage off on your coupons, the more aggressive you can be when accepting offers or making offers to watchers. Mark Allen says, I wish I didn't feel the need to be an eBay seller. Working a regular job would be preferable, but for personal reasons, I cannot work a regular job. So I agree with you. Here's the thing. The pluses of a regular job, most regular jobs, full-time, you're going to have your benefits. Full-time, you're going to have a consistent, provided you're working your hours, even if you're hourly and not salary, if you're working a consistent number of hours every week, it's easier for many people. That's why many people don't make the jump from a full-time job to a full-time reseller gig. And that is the idea of not having a set amount of income every week, every month, so that they can pay their bills, right? It's the safe option for a lot of people. A lot of people would rather side with the safe option. If I'm only making, let's say, $3,000 a month at my full-time job after everything's taken out, and that's what they've deposited in my bank, and I know I have that every month, I know I have $3,000 to work with, but even if I know I can make maybe $6,000 or $7,000 in a month flipping and reselling full time, um, because it's still an uncertainty. Some months you may only make 1,000, 2,000. Now I'm talking about when you're listing a lot of items and you're getting a lot of sales every day. But some months you're going to make 1,000. Some months you're going to make 2,000 or 3,000, and some good months you're going to make 6 to 7, depending on what you're selling. That swing isn't enough for people to just leave their full-time job. And I can certainly understand the appeal of a full-time job. I got to tell you, if my previous employer came to me and said, look, we want you to work remotely from home, I would do it, because I'm in a situation where if I put in another 3 years with that company, I can retire with full benefits at 60. I think my as a retiree with 30 years with a company with railroad retirement, you get like 90% of what you were making or something like that of your 5 best years. So for me, I would take it in a heartbeat and sell on the side, right? And still talk to you guys and make videos, maybe not as often. That's not likely to happen. But I know that if I have that job, that full-time job, this is why many of you out there are thinking about quitting your job to resell. It's not going to be feasible unless your full-time job right now wasn't great in any way to begin with. It's not going to replace your full-time income. So Mark, I just think that you're doing the right thing. Keep you can't work for personal reasons. Don't go out and looking for a full-time job because you can't. But for most people, they want to do the opposite. They want to go in and get that full-time reselling going, and 2 months later they're broke, and you don't want to be that guy. Wyworka says, hey everyone, Savage Pickers, I haven't tried the video yet, but I think it would be an asset. I just procrastinate learning something new, but it's not difficult. It's really do all your photos and then go in and say, okay, let me just try it on a listing, right? And turn off all your background music. If the item turns on, you want them to hear any noises or beeps or whatever it does. And just take a video as if you're out at the park, right? But you're taking a video of the item, turn it on, and then maybe show the front, back, side, top, and then turn it off. Simple as that. And then save it. There's a slot that you can load it up. It says for video. Find the video on your computer, and no more than 30 seconds. If you go any longer than that, and I usually record in like 4K by default. If I go any longer than that, it'll tell me the file's too big. Ed wants to know how I see the future of eBay. Will they focus more on more time and resources to high-end items to try to kick the smaller sellers out, or maybe come to their senses and focus on us small sellers? I think they're going to continue to follow the trends that happen around them. So we were talking maybe a year or two ago about how eBay is trying to become Amazon, right? A few months ago or 6 months ago, we're talking about eBay trying to become Whatnot, and they're still talking about doing the live auction. So it's whatever the hot thing is at that time, they're going to start focusing on. So baseball cards were hot, so they came out, to the baseball card side of things. I think they are going to continue to try to build their brand around higher end items. And I don't ever think they're going to kick out small sellers, but they're going to make it, when they transition, they're going to be making it harder for everyday sellers to compete, if that makes sense. It's already tough for a lot of everyday sellers or small sellers to compete with the bigger sellers. And I don't see that changing anytime soon. Uncle G says, wait, eBay has video now. Just auction. No, it's on any list. So if you go into the new lister, the new listing tool, it'll give you a feature, an option to, if you look at the photos, there'll be one that says to add a video. You can go in there and add like a 30-second video of the item. Now, it does take a day or two for that item, that video to appear in your listing, but it gives the buyer more information than just the photo would. Flippin Goody says, adding videos to eBay listings is nothing new. You have had the ability for years, just a different way of doing it now. Yeah, I know you could have done it with like a link of some sort in the listing, but I'm talking about just a supported feature that doesn't require you to go in and do all that craziness. Let's see. No One Design 2 says, to do free shipping, free returns, best offers, coupons, markdown sales, you must have a lot of wiggle room to do all that and still have a profit or break even, right? So the last thing you want to do is, you're into an item that doesn't give you a lot of room and you're doing all these things because you want so badly to sell the item. And after you figured it out, you only made $1. It's just not worth it, or lose money. That's even worse, because the idea that now, I could have went outside, threw this in the trash can and saved $1. Now I've lost $1. Now I have a potential where the customer might want to return or might have negative feedback, and I've lost money on the item. That's the worst feeling. Raining Retro says, one of the big complaints for eBay is how out of date, complicated it is. Other platforms, more intuitive. eBay needs to modernize to get new sellers. Worse for volume sellers, better for new sellers. And I agree. They need to listen to us. Okay. So if we're toggling back and forth between the new and the old tool, and we're telling them, taking the time to tell them why we don't like the tool, then maybe they should listen and make those changes. And maybe they are. I don't want to totally poo-poo on eBay right now. Hopefully they are listening to the comments you put when you're toggling back to the old lister. But I'm not going to hold my breath because I've just seen eBay's track record on it. Biscuit Butt says, videos have always been an option in the past. You would just have to add the URL to a YouTube channel and description. But again, how many buyers ever read description? And that's my point. It was never really seller, or it wasn't never really friendly. It's a lot faster, a lot easier to just click on a video on your computer and upload it than to have to go and find the URL to a YouTube channel and even have a YouTube channel, and to even use your YouTube channel for that purpose to upload a video, right? So it's a lot better the way it is now on that side of things. They can keep the video, and that'll be great because I use it every so often, and I think it's an underutilized feature. The video feature should be used for protection purposes, if nothing else. That too, if you have an item that can be easily counterfeited, maybe you want to point to the features. Maybe you're selling like an expensive purse, and maybe you could take a video of the purse and go in and zoom on the features that are normally easily to distinguish between a counterfeit and one that's not, to show your buyer and to show eBay, if your buyer tries to do a little switcheroo on you, that you sent them a legitimate item. Tommy says, eBay doesn't look at sellers like that, Ed. All they care about is good sellers and profit. Big or small doesn't mean anything to them until you reach hundreds of millions a year. And again, if that means that smaller sellers are going to get pushed away because of that focus on the bigger sellers, and that's just what it is. So that's why it's even more important for the smaller seller to find ways to get into items as low, as cheap as possible, so that you have more room to work with to make a profit, to be more competitive against these bigger sellers. Chris Wiley says, I have new old stock Christmas items that this video feature is great for these items. I'll give you an example. I had, I sold one of them. I have like 4 of those 8 to 12 foot Christmas decorations, those inflatable ones. I have one that is a Halloween one. I don't think I've sold it yet. It's 12-foot ghost. Okay. And I couldn't find the comps for it. I couldn't, sometimes I'll use a stock photo to say, okay, I have this thing here. Okay. And I don't really want to take it out of the box and set it up. Well, I wasn't able to do that because this was last year's stock and they don't sell this particular one anymore. So thankfully, my living room, I have pretty tall, I think, cathedral ceilings in there. Took the thing in and fired it up, and I was able to take some pretty good photos, and I did a video of the thing working and all different angles and the lights that it had on, different parts of it. And I really think it's a very good feature for that type of thing. Let's see. Biscuit Butt says, I picked up over 400 loose DVDs and leather cases for $10. Obviously, I couldn't show photos of all DVDs, but with the video option, I was able to show them all in a video and sold it for $130. And I think that's like, yeah, exactly like the patches I have. I took a lot of videos on the patches. Now, if I decided that I wanted to sell them all in bulk, I would rather do that than take one or multiple pictures from far away from the same lot. I'd rather show a 30-second video of me kind of maybe running my hands through the different piles of patches so they could see what I have. So I definitely agree with you on that. Raining says, I like video for vintage. Many younger buyers don't realize the differences. The alarm clock is a perfect example of someone might want the concept of it, but hate the sound of the alarm. Right. And then there you have a return, right? Let's see. Ed says, as far as meeting up at the Seller Remix, let him know. So yeah, comment in the chat or down below after the fact if you're going to be in Vegas. I don't know the exact dates, but it's in October during the Boss Seller Remix, and I'll definitely be there. I know Archie would, and I don't know if he's going to go to the Seller Remix or not, but I've decided I'd rather just get a pallet for that. Tommy says, no way I'd waste money to learn nothing. I think it's gross people are trying to profit off other resellers with info they learned from someone else. Yeah, I think what it is mostly, I think the justification for it for a lot of people is the networking side of it, where, you know, I'm going to be able to go and meet up with all these YouTubers. And because if they just had a Boss Reseller Remix with just some random people from eBay and really no, influencers on, on that board or the platform or whatever they're going to do, the speakers at the event, then I think they would get a lot less people there. So the idea that they can go and meet their favorite YouTuber and pick their brain for a little bit is worth it for some people. But for me, it's not that big of a deal. And it gets more expensive, especially if you're not in Vegas. I can tell you, if you're thinking about it, if you're getting a hotel in Vegas, it's going to cost you a lot of money. And if you find a hotel that's not very expensive, well, you better be very careful because you're probably in the wrong part of town. Let me just put it that way. Noah Design 2 says, this is just my business side talking for small reseller videos, not a scalable, and ROI is just not there. Creates more work. Video for multi-million reseller, that could work if you think about it. If you had a lot of $10 items, right, and they're all the same, like a multi-quantity listing, then you made like 100 of them or more, I could see you taking a video to show what that one item is, because all the other items are the same, to make your one listing as attractive as possible. I can definitely see that, and I could see myself doing that. Unfortunately, I don't get a whole lot of multi quantities of anything anymore, but I can definitely see that working. Lynette says, all ended well with my return to sender transaction. USPS delivered the package today, and I remailed it out to an updated address, and she bought 3 more tops. Most people will feel bad when they, have a return to sender situation, and whether it's collecting more postage to get that item to them or saying, hey, look, how about you sell me these 3 items and just add it to the ones that I bought? So that's really good that it worked out for you. Donchina says, the video opens up a whole new world and you can add your own personality. I make my videos fun. Well, I guess you can, but I would really be very careful there. Yes, you want to maybe add some fun elements to maybe for your own benefit. But as far as the benefit of making a sale, I don't know. For me, it's about, you have 30 seconds. You want to cover as many details as you can. You want to get to the point, and a serious buyer will buy it. But you know what? If it's working for you, keep doing what you do. I will never try to shoot down something that someone does when it works for them. Noah Design 2 says, hobby sellers and part-time and on certain categories, video is nice. Put your own flair into it. Make a few dollars, but long-term, I don't know. And then No Bullshit says, eBay has pissed me off more than a few times recently, especially when they're wanting bank account information. But I guess the bastards in Congress are partially responsible. It ain't that bad yet. Let me put it that way. Even PayPal wanted our information. Okay, they had to have our information. And of course, if you want to get paid through managed payments, they have to have your bank account information. Now, talk to the folks, and I'm sure that we have a few good folks right now that are watching from the UK. There's a few, if not all, I think it's required now that you have to have your information, your address, your name, and I don't know about a phone number, but you have to have that information in the listing. And I know that's what Congress has been trying to do ever since last year. Put a video out on it about a year and a half ago, and thankfully they haven't passed that yet, because that is something I don't want people to have my personal information. Yeah, I guess you send them an item, they're going to have your address, but I still don't want that in a listing. Tommy says the video could take up to 72 hours to go live. Am I right? I want my stuff sold by then. I've actually had it come up no sooner than a day, but within 48 hours. So they may tell you 72, and maybe that could be your experience of 72, but I've had mine loaded pretty fast. No One Design 2 says, easier said than done. Correctly, I've sent video where a lady had a cigarette in her hand while taking the video, and smoke was covering the shot. So to me, if I'm a buyer seeing that, that's going to tell me, so that's valuable information, because if I have a problem with having an item that has smoke, the smell of smoke, well, I ain't buying from her. And that's going to, yeah, especially she puts smoke-free home in the title, right? And she's got the menthol going, and ashes, flicking on the table. To me, I think that's just, number one, unprofessional. That's the type of person you're going to be dealing with. But number two, you're probably going to be smelling that when it gets delivered to you. So just, why would they? Someone's not thinking that made that video for their listing. LSGS Rob just made it in. How were your sales this weekend? It was a little slower this weekend, but still 37 going out in my main store and 1 in my fun store. So for me, I had about after Mercari and other accounts figured in, about $1,100 weekend, counting Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I always add Friday to the Saturday, Sunday. I know it's technically not part of the weekend, but I ship everything Friday, Saturday, Sunday together. I have that going out on Monday. So I kind of just add it all together. We're talking about 20 something items, 25 items. Maybe that's a little low. About 25 items is what I packed up yesterday. And this is the time of the year, my biggest distraction, and that is football. And, I'll admit it. And hopefully Jenna gets that. And that's my mail carrier. If you guys heard that doorbell. Otherwise, yeah, I think she's going to. So awesome. So that's one less trip I have to make. So that's really cool. But football for me is a distraction. Now, I'll take all my stuff. I'll say, look, I'll have the game on and I will let it go and I will get my shipping done, right? So I can multitask. You really don't have to think. Yeah, you got to make sure you get the right item in the right package. You don't want to, or the right label on the right package. But for me, it was a good weekend because of that. And I was able to get most of my shipping done last night. So yeah. So all is well. Football's back and I'm happy about it. Prosser says, I think the listing tool is a little glitchy or buggy and they need maybe to do a patch for it, as it can clutch and you have a refresh, which sometimes you lose it, have to start over. And I know that's happened to me before, but I think lately, eBay's been saving the listing as a draft. So you might want to, if you get locked up because of inactivity, maybe you take a 20-30 minute break and then try to go back and it's locked up, go to your drafts. Chances are it's there. No One Design 2 says, I get it. Video is new and fun. And I also get their hobby sellers, part-time sellers. But for me, this is my business. So I must weigh the ROI. It's unfortunate, but that's how it is. But if you have an expensive item that someone can buy and your pictures aren't doing it justice, or maybe highlighting the flaws in the listing, you're not only gaining future sales by adding the video, you're preventing misunderstandings by having that video. Let's see. Biscuit Butt says, my video was on the listing within a day. I thought it may be longer. I don't think the listing will wait to sell until the video populates. Photos and description are great. Yeah, I've sold I sold an item one time. I had it within a day, and the video didn't even get loaded yet. LSGS says never auto refund. Your return rate should be under 2 to 3% if you're doing everything. And depending on what you sell, I sell pre-owned clothing, and my return rate is almost under 1%. When you auto refund, you give the buyer more balls to do it again. And I agree that we're conditioning, just like eBay is conditioning us as sellers right now with this listing tool. They're conditioning us to learn the new lister. I mean, if they just said, look, from here on out, you could either use the old lister or the new lister, and it's up to you. Have a great day. That would be the best solution, by the way. But if they said that to us, nobody would learn the new tool. So they just say, okay, they force the new tool on us with the option of going back every once in a while when we need to, so that we finally just give in, right? And we learn the new lister and be done with it. And the same thing is with buyers. When you just say, you know what, if it's $10, I'm giving their money back without making them send it back. Yes, you might on the surface be pleasing a lot of buyers who were just honestly trying to return the item, but you are also conditioning people to go, maybe I could do that next time. And so they try it next time, and maybe it doesn't work, but every time they get that return, it's at least something they're going to try. You now have conditioned them to learn the system to get over on sellers. So I avoid that. If you want the item, keep it. If you don't want the item, send it back. Don Chino was walking on the boardwalk and listening to the last show. Wow, that's awesome. I've never been there, but I hear it's still okay, even though the Atlantic City isn't as it used to be. But I can't, I guess I can't say the same thing about Vegas either. But Paper Time Machine, new listing tool is uncomfortable at first, but you get used to it. Been using it for now over a year, and it's like second nature. So yeah, and that might be the strategy you take. It's inevitable, so you might as well. We're not at fourth quarter yet. Take the month to just do it, right? Get in there and just list with just that tool, so that when it gets switched over for all of us, you're ahead of the game, right? You're ahead of most other sellers. Process is some people use the lister in a cross-listing platform. It's easier to use. Jason says, I'm convinced they locked me into the new lister last night, as I can no longer find the option to switch it back. But try tomorrow. It could be there. Noah Design says that auto refund tool is the most idiotic thing I've ever seen, and it's contradictory on eBay. Part, keep your return rate low, but don't use the auto return tool. But the thing is, as soon as a buyer opens a return against you, guess what? Whether you accept the return or if you give them a refund, that is a return against you. It counts against your rate. And if they don't even send it back, they open the return and the thing times out, they never send it back, that's still a return against you, believe it or not. Because I had an argument with eBay about it about a year and a half ago, and they luckily they found a couple that were not considered as, I think something was glitchy on their side that should not have been defects on my account. Otherwise, I would have been paying an extra 5% on fees. Let's see here. Process says I mark electronic items with invisible marker and record a video. If I get a return, open that return video, look for the ID tag, put on has worked in my favor with eBay most times, right? File that ic3.gov complaint if you get a switcheroo against you. Let's see. Jason Byers says, now that eBay is forcing me to learn the new listing tool, it's actually making me also want to try to learn other sites like Mercari that I've been putting off only because I was comfortable with eBay. Yeah, get out of your comfort zone. I mean, for me, the idea of doing Mercari last year, I had a VA go in and create listings for me, and I was like, no, I made some sales, right? I'm not complaining about that, but just the idea of having to pay a VA to go in and do that every time, I didn't want to spend the time I was wanting to list to put stuff on Mercari. So I'm thankful that I was able to go in and find a decent price listing tool. And they contacted me, and I used their software, Prime Lister. And whether you use that program or the one Ed uses or some of the other ones that are out there, it's definitely a great way to get your stuff cross-listed. I've sold over now 150 items in the last month and a half. And I know that because I've been going in and just kind of checking my numbers. And it's 150 listings that I probably wouldn't have sold on eBay. It's just a different kind of item. And for me, it's certainly made me about, I'd say, $1,200 more than just having those items just sit over and over again. And we're talking items that I can't just, all right, after 60 days, I'm just going to go ahead and list these items in an auction because they don't have that kind of value. We're talking $10 to $15 items. These are the items that you try to list on auction for 99 cents. And either you'll just get 99 cents for the item, or you're going to get really no bids, and you're going to feel like you wasted your time, other than the benefit that we've talked about on this channel before. And I still think it's a thing. And that is that loss leader effect, where it really helps your listing. So for me, cross list if you can. It's going to help you make some money. And that's the whole point of this thing. Tommy says, my dad is retired from the Conrail. His pension sucks. Also, railroad retirees can't get Social Security or some crap. Well, what happens is if I was to go work right now, any money that I put into Social Security would get sent over to railroad retirement, and it just gets kind of calculated in. It's not that bad. It's really, I mean, you're talking for being retired. I mean, it's more than Social Security. Let me put it that way. Railroad retirement's a little bit better than Social Security. No one designed to. Hit the like, guys and gals. Let's make eBay auto return the tool great again. Well, it's going to take more than hitting that like button to do that, unfortunately, but hit the like button anyway. I certainly appreciate that. Copy and pasting listing titles seems to be listing suicide. And I don't know, as far as copying, pasting listing titles, are you talking about maybe piggybacking off of a listing and sell similar? I do that all the time, and it just saves me time from hunting for, each time finding the category and creating a new listing, creating a new title. I could take that title, tweak it, and make it one that works better. LSGS Rob says, you want to be a full-time reseller? I'd say the most important part, we did niche down first. When I started, I sold everything that moved to electronics only, and then clothing. So that's definitely a good idea. And then since then, my sales and money have been extremely consistent and going up. No one designs says, eBay is listening. Hear this. Stop Rick and Mortying your platform. And I would click on LSGS Rob's comment, but I don't want to offend anyone, but hit the like button. That would be awesome. Holy Cow says, I recently had buyer give me negative feedback on an item, and I guess he stopped. He or she stopped on the comment. So if you've had a recent negative, go in and use that negative feedback tool and try to get it removed. Samantha says, oh no, I missed the talk. I'll have to watch it later. I'm sure there was some great advice and information. Well, at least hang out with us and watch the rest of it. That way, when you watch the replay, at the hour and 13-minute mark or whatever it was that you joined, that you'll be able to stop and say you already know what was going to happen. Wanda says, if you mean variations, yes, variations. I was thinking about that earlier today. I knew the term in my head, but of course I get out here, I'm flustered to begin with, and it just escaped me. So variations, yes. Selling individual variations considered a pick and choose, a select listing. That's how it's explained to me. But from what I learned in doing a lot of the research, that variation listings do get a little bump. And for that, I've seen a lot of variation listings with records, and I'm going to try to emulate some of those. It's going to be really cool. I'm going to make a video to tell you about it once I get it done, but I'm just not there yet. Janet Hader says, I can't upload a video on a new listing. I'm using an Android phone. When I tried to upload, I got a message saying it was in the right format. Yeah, because you have to do it on your computer. So make the listing on your phone, right? Use 11 photos, and then go back into your computer and then upload the video on the new lister. It'll work. Eddie Estrada says, you mentioned saving money printing shipping labels. Does that work with first class too? And is top rated seller required to save on shipping? No, any level of reseller can do it. If see, you get a discount on eBay with the top rated seller program by buying labels through eBay. But I know that many of you guys know this. If you go to pirateship.com, you can go on there and get a very similar discount. It doesn't matter what seller level you are, and you can link your Pirate Ship account with your eBay account to have all those addresses. So you just click on the list button, and it'll show you an import from eBay. It'll show you all the listings that you've sold on eBay that are waiting to be shipped, and you just find that one, and it'll have it all set up for you. So try pirateship.com and try to list or try to do your labels that way. And you're going to save a lot more than paying retail, I promise you. Let's see. Jason says, I've never used the video feature, but I have heard that there's a max amount of time the vid should be, or else it doesn't work. And we don't know how short the video should be. I've had it work anywhere from 30 to 45 seconds in 4K. So I would say the happy place is make it 30 seconds, make that work for you, and you won't have that problem. James Day says, been an eBay seller for almost 20 years. Your channel has helped me keep a sharp eye on selling dynamics. Thanks. I appreciate that. Thank you for the feedback, James. I appreciate it. Mark with a silent Q. I'm a bit late, but happy Monday, John. Happy Monday, Mark. And hopefully your sales were good over the weekend. Biff says, I think the video option would be good for used records because buyers could now hear how it sounds versus a grade. Not sure about copyrights, though. That is a problem with copyrights. And also the problem is I don't have a record player. I don't intend on buying one. I've learned many techniques on visual grading, and I'm going to just go with that. You know, and if it involves a return, it involves a return. Okay, Holy Cow says, I recently had a buyer give negative feedback on a smooth transaction because I canceled the sale on the other item using a different user account. I'd get that removed. Use that tool. Explain this buyer never bought an item from me. Now, maybe they had to have bought an item at some point from you. So maybe explain as best you can why you believe they left a negative, but you're going to have a hard time proving that if they bought an item from you. So I don't know. Let's see. Raining says, right now, so if you're using the video, it's a good opportunity to make your item more appealing to buyers. Video features bound to get better soon, but everyone will be doing it then. And why not get ahead of the curve? Why not get your items an advantage that many people aren't using? Midwest Picker says, yesterday was my best day of the weekend. I ran a 24% off OBO sale through. So that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, you find ways, as long as you're making money, it doesn't matter what your percentage is, but you'll find that if you get to a certain point, like with promoted listings or even a percentage, when I was at 15% over the summer, when I started that promotion, my sales kind of took off for me. So find what that number is. And if your sourcing allows you to go that deep with a discount and still make money, then I definitely do it. Rainey says, my dogs are staring at the TV. Heard your dog barking, now barking at the TV. Sorry about that. Wanda says, the only video I do now in the record playing, for me, it's all about the sound, so they're going to deny this. Yeah, they might say it violates copyright. And that's like, for instance, in a YouTube video, we can't play copyrighted music without the video being taken down. So that's a problem, because whoever owns the rights to that song that might be playing is going to want to get a cut, whatever, but they're going to want something. Rainy says, video is what people want. 10 years ago, written was big, post blogs and photos, now short videos, TikTok shorts, that type of thing. So yeah, that's what it is. Have your power prices increased out there with the dam water? No, because the dam's still working. The Hoover Dam is still generating power, but we have a lot of solar out here. We have solar farms out in the middle of the desert. No, my rates, knock on wood, haven't gone up. So hopefully that doesn't change. I know a lot of people around the country are having issues, but the Lake Mead situation hasn't affected us a whole lot yet so far. So that's going to affect like California and other states. I've been watching a lot of the videos on that. How do you handle a buyer giving negative feedback when the transaction went smoothly? So okay, it's all about perspective. You have your perspective on the transaction, and the buyer has theirs. So let's say you answered every message they had in a timely manner. They could still say that you're rude, even though you didn't think you were. They can have that perception, right? And if you come to eBay and say, I didn't do anything wrong, but the buyer said that you were rude, for instance, then they're going to side with the buyer, because there is no way to disprove that. If that makes sense. If they said something unfactual, if they, went in and just violated an eBay policy, then you can point to that before you can. That's the worst feedback for me as a seller, is someone saying I was rude, I was didn't communicate or something like that, because that's harder to get rid of. Let's see. Tommy says, I think free shipping and or returns is more idiotic. The amount of money lost each year, if you have any volume, is insane. It is insane. It is insane. I think people do it for the boost in search, which increase their sales, and the way they justify it is the increase in sales offset the amount of returns that I'm getting, if that makes sense. She Shed Shopping says, I've been with eBay for over 17 years and have had the same no returns policy. Why is eBay trying to change the no returns policy? I have an excellent selling record. All packages must be signed for, because there really isn't a no returns policy. If a buyer wants to, they can go in and do an INAD, item not as described, and say anything they want, and you are on the hook to not only accept the return, but pay you the return label and process that return within a timely manner, or you're going to lose the case, get a defect, and if you don't provide that return label in a timely manner, the buyer is going to keep the item. So you don't want any of those things to happen. It's just, to me, there's so much that actually screams, and you might be the best seller out there, but there's so much that screams problem to a buyer when they see a no returns policy. I know if I saw a no returns policy, I'd run the other direction, because why is this seller so worried, and they're putting big articles in their item description about why they're not taking the no returns, or why they have no returns? For me, that's a big red flag, and I'm not going to do business with that person, because you never know. Something could happen. A buyer could receive your item and the ding wasn't there, but because the package was handled roughly, now it's cracked or whatever. You're telling me you're not going to take my return? I had nothing to do with that. I just received the item. So it's tough, but it's eBay's game, and sometimes I have to bear bad news. You have to play their game in order to succeed on their platform, and it's going to help your sales. The moment you go from a no returns to at least a returns buyer pays, it's going to help your traffic. I can't say your sales, but it's going to help your traffic a little bit. And Tommy says, because it looks scammy to a buyer, like a lack of confidence to buyers. And then She Shed says, shipping includes tracking, insurance, signature required, so they can immediately refuse and return anything damaged in transit. Why should I be forced to change my no returns policy? Because eBay's telling you to. And because, I think a lot of times we are so concerned over making sure that thing that happened one time last year doesn't happen again. And we're going to set a no returns policy so it doesn't happen again, right? Even though it can. And what you're doing is you're cutting off your nose to spite your face, in that, okay, maybe you're happy with the amount of sales you're getting, but you're losing out, because eBay is not going to promote your listing as high in search as if you had a returns policy. I promise you that. You make that change, you're going to see a difference in sales. So maybe you got 10% more in sales this year because you made that change, and that one time doesn't sting so bad. Retro says, how do you handle cross listing and variation listings? I just haven't seen cross listing at all. Not using them anymore, so I can't cross. I don't think Mercari can handle a variation listing, so I don't think that works. Maybe you're dealing with Poshmark. I just haven't done one yet, so I can't really speak to it. Tommy says, I got suspended for doing variations on video games. Be careful. It's supposed to be for like items, just a different size or color type deal. It's a big deal because it avoids listing fees. What I was looking at, and there's a number of listings out there, and they're really, I like them. I think it's kind of cool, where they show like a crate full of albums and maybe one photo, and it says, country 70s country album lot, pick your album. And then when you go find, there's a drop down with all the different titles. And when you click on it, it shows the actual photo of the album. And they're selling, I think they're selling pretty well. Most of those listings I see have a pretty good sell-through rate. And I'm very, very much interested in doing that. I just bought a crate, kind of a cool one. Hopefully it's cool. It's not damaged or anything, but I got to put it together. I plan on showing you guys here, but yeah, I definitely got to be careful, but you know what? It'll be a lesson learned if it happens. Let's see here real quick. Janet Bush says, I just handled a negative and neutral feedback. I work with the buyer, gave one a full refund, the neutral one a partial. They changed the positive. Now, again, have 100% positive feedback. And if we're talking a $10 item, I did, you guys know my account on eBay. I have a negative that I got about a month ago, and it was a $10 item. And put in there that the thing didn't work, and maybe something happened en route or whatever, and it was a $10 item. So I sent him a message, and see, I don't want the buyer to come to me and say they want a partial refund or they want their money back. But I told them, I said, look, if you're willing to revise your feedback, here, let me give you a refund. And no response back. So how am I supposed to know that's even going to work? So for me, I just kept the negative on there, and it is what it is. Tommy says there is no boost anymore, and that is a myth. Since promoted listings, it doesn't matter anymore. There's a boost. There's a boost for every little thing that goes on in your listing. It's not all just about promoted. If you promote a garbage listing, you're still going to get sales. Don't get me wrong. But if you take two listings and promote them at the same rate, let's say you're promoting them at 10%, and one's a really good listing. It has, all the things we talk about. And then this other one, just bare bones, doesn't have anything in item specifics and things like that. You're going to have two different results. I'm 100% positive of that. And eBay does state that your return policies, your shipping policies, they want you to give free return. I mean, free shipping is what they want. They want you to give free returns too. And they get a small boost. Now, I'm not saying it's the world, it's at the end of the world. But if we're talking two different people, one has no returns, the other one has free returns, it's going to make a small difference over time, that one element. It's not going to be a huge difference, but all the little elements within the listing can make a huge difference in where you're placed in that search. Shane Dillon says, if a customer refuses delivery, they lose buyer protection, and that's considered as a delivery, by the way, too. No One Design says, careful, John, that's going around listing fees. I'm not really worried about listing fees. It's more about just trying to make it easier for me. To me, I think that'd just be easier, but each album is a single listing. So we'll see how it works. It's my fun account. I want to maybe give it a try and report back to you guys what I find. Tommy says, don't ever look at other listings. That's what got suspended. Others are doing it. eBay rep literally told me, if they jump off a bridge, would you? Well, no, you're right. I'm not going to jump off a bridge, but at the same time, if it's working, if you have a listing that's been up for months, and not only that listing, other people have listings, I'm going to have eBay say to me, point to me exactly where it says I can't do that. And maybe I need to do a little bit more research on the policy as it pertains to variations, which I don't have a lot of experience doing because I just haven't had the need to do variations. So I'm going to bring myself up to speed before I actually do it. But just to say that I'm intrigued, and it's definitely something that's interesting me. Let's see. We got Bold Finds. Big fans from the UK watching you, and a few others encouraged me to start my own channel. Well, awesome. Just keep it up. Don't let, especially with YouTube, the first year is going to be a grind, maybe first year and a half, and just got to be consistent. Just like with the eBay listing patterns, your videos, days you don't want to make videos, still get out there and make videos. So, and then No One Design says, I mean, your account can get flagged, not just listing fees. They want their final value fees. Well, they're going to get their final value fees. So you get final value fee on every one of those sales, but I understand what you're saying about listing fees. So guys, I think we're at about an hour and a half and I got to get ready. I've got, you guys know I'm an avid bowler and it's bowling season. Here's another thing is add to the things that I do, but I keep myself very busy. So tonight's the first night of that. And I almost retired because of some health issues. My arm wasn't cooperating. So I'm going to give it a shot. And if push comes to shove, I won't do it anymore. But, I just been involved with a lot of things. And this is just yet another thing that I'm involved in. And, you guys, we're getting close to Q4. And with eBay, they like to make their changes the beginning right before Q4 with their fall winter seller update. And don't at all be surprised if they basically shove this lister down our throat and say, this is what you're using for Q4. And the best advice I can give you is just start using it if you haven't already, to get yourself familiar so you're not feeling lost or slowed down all that much. And it may slow you down at first, but just give it a try. Use the features, use the video feature when you can. If you have an expensive item is when I would start using it, and see how it goes. But new features on eBay, it's going to continue to happen, and it's still going to be an example of how flipping ain't easy. And I want you guys to have a great start to your week, and we will talk to you guys very soon. Thanks, everyone.